Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing? I wanted to make sure that we're doing everything possible to bring you the best in shows. And then on top of that, abundance of love, what is self-love, and the fundamentals of self-love and fundamentals of self. I want you guys to understand that the fundamentals of self-love and loving yourself is realizing when other people don't love you or go out their way to only love you conditionally, as long as you do what they ask you to do, and as long as that you're making them happy while they're making you miserable. I want you guys to understand that self-love is perhaps one of the most fundamental yet misunderstood concepts of the world right now. People have a tendency to love you as long as you do what they want. People have a tendency to only love you as long as they can either, one, get what they want out of you, abuse you or use you, or go to the levels of teaching you how not to love yourself while they're loving, abusing you. And I want people to understand that the misunderstood concept of love, heart, is that self-love, it means that you have to be selfless and not take care of yourself and love yourself or not know how to say no. And here's the thing. Some dismiss it as a new ideology and that cannot be applied to practical terms, but nothing can be more further from the truth than that. And I want you guys to understand that. So I want to show you the practical steps and things like that with regard to self-love and learning how to love yourself and love others as well, and how to treat others in the manner of being able to self-love but have boundaries and be able to have practice of telling someone no. I recently got through telling my daughter, and I told you guys I love my daughter to pieces, but there's a lot of familial things that are going on that are creating a level of distance between me and my daughter. And the thing is, she loves me, I love her, and she knows that. So this is not a thing to embarrass my daughter. Y'all know I hate if I even so much as embarrass her, because I don't want her to ever think that I don't love her. I love her unconditionally. But my daughter has been used as a pawn in a situation of familial things that have been going on. So I'm just sharing that with you guys because we've talked about this yesterday about relationships. They can be poisonous and they can actually hurt you more than they can build you and build your children up, and they can damage your children as well. So this live is more about self-love and teaching children, adolescents, young adults, babies, how to love yourself and learning to have boundaries. So I just got to talk to my daughter like days ago about boundaries. And y'all know that I told y'all that there was a levels of some little things that happened, and my daughter and I actually got into it one time, and we actually had a physical altercation, and it's because she was encouraged to do that. And my daughter's innocent because the thing is she's young, and she regrets it, and we talked about it. So I wanted you guys to understand that my daughter is a good kid. She's in A&P classes, and she's advanced placement. My daughter has went through so much because of family levels of coercive playing, provoke, gaslight, bullying, harass, and doing all kinds of things, embarrassing, humiliating me. But, you know, when there's other people, other parties who are supposed to be there as a guardian to help her along as a child growing up while we're dealing with this situation, but have managed to undermine my parenting and things like that. So as a life coach, wellness coach, divorce coach, health coach, and also as a business mentor and also consultant, I want you guys to understand that even business people go through this type of stuff. But you got to learn how to self-love yourself and save yourself and save your children sometimes, and be able to talk about these different things, not just sometimes, but all the time, especially when there's a child that's growing up and learning how to love. And a child cannot see parent undermining the other say parent, me, and trying to make me look like I'm somebody I'm not, and then have this child gaslit, provoked to do things to me, and then it turns around that this child's like, man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of grown-ups. You're the only one who seems to care about my mental health, my emotional health. And I was like, well, I do, because, you know, I've been through it. I've been through the psychological, emotional things where people are love you as long as they can conditionally do what they want you to do or you to do for them, and you're their minion. But the minute you break free and say, no, these are the boundaries, I'm not going to do this, or I don't want to be a part of this, it becomes a level layer of I don't love you anymore, or I'll punish you into loving and going and falling back into the fold. So I want you guys to understand the self-love concepts are internal, external, and familial. So I want you guys to understand that we'll show you the practical steps of that in regards to that and developing self-love and self-efficacy and being able to say to yourself, you know what, I love you, but I'm not going to have these conditions here where you can put conditional love on me, whereas I unconditionally love you, but you use me as either a narc supply or a emotional Munchausen by proxy supply to provoke gaslight the safe parent or safe person in this child's life. So I've been dealing with that, and I want you guys to understand it from that perspective as a mother, but from a business or a level of professional and a level of marital or dating, it can go in that same scenario. So I want you guys to understand this, and let's have this unpack session and this conversation about this, because we usually do our unpack sessions for Twitter Live after dark so that we can talk about the sessions and everything else and talk about all these different things that we discuss in the live. So I want you guys to understand how important and imperative it is to have these taboo conversations, but put it out there. Because, you know, even in my support groups and things like that, I created Caring Orchid Recovery. And, you know, I had a narc ex of mine who I found out was a Fed recently who actually sat there and called me a narc. And I actually went to my doctor and I was like, am I a narc? What's a narc? And they were like, you don't know what a narcissist is? I was like, no. I was like, what's a sociopath? They're like, you don't know what a sociopath is? I was like, no. They looked at me and, I mean, they chuckled. You know how little I felt? They weren't laughing at me. They were like, she's butt dog serious. Like, she doesn't know what a narc is. She doesn't know what a sociopath is. So in 4 years after I've been through all this and finally breaking free of the chains and the bonds of sociopaths and narcs, I realized I dated some. I actually literally legitimately dated some narcissistic sociopaths who interview well with everybody, but yet I was the for their BS. And when I tell you and I look like that, and they're like, are you serious? You don't know what an narc is? I was like, no. So they asked me some questions, and they were like, she really doesn't know. So they were like, maybe you need to study narcissism and sociopathy to figure out what it is. So I feel like I got an honorary PhD in psychiatry and psychology, although I'm going to school to be an MD. I just got paperwork for me to figure out what my insurance is going to be as a medical doctor. So I will tell you, I'm glad I finished my degree in human resources and everything else, but I will go on to get my PsyD and things like that and become an MD, forensic psychiatrist, and forensic, science. So what enlightened me about narcissism is that I actually dated it and didn't know what I was dating. I didn't know I was dating pathological sociopath, Prince Charming, with the whole true love scam, and I didn't realize what I was dating back. So I think I got groomed to date people like that. And there had to be a layer of self-love that was missing. I want to talk to you guys about this because I love myself, but did I self-love, like internal self-love, like that love hug for myself? You know what I'm saying? Did I mentally love myself to where I got trained to deal with narcs, and I didn't know it? So follow me here. I was homeless, and over that period of time, before homelessness, I started realizing what I was dealing with because I started looking up what a narc was. So I get to looking up what a narc was, and my mouth dropped wide open, and I started thinking about the people I dated. I was like, oh, my God, what the deuce have I dated? I was like, oh, this cannot be real. And that moment of Kevin McAllister, like that, I literally sat there like Macaulay Culkin, and I was like, and the emotional death of my emotional health went down the toilet. I went through a period of complete total depression, situational, because I was dating that and didn't know. This dude accused me of something that I'm not. And I sat down and I was like, what's a narc? And I asked these people who are my therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, when I was going through all this healing phase, and they're like, this girl really doesn't know. She can't be one. Plus, she's too self-reflective. Because she was like, because I remember they laugh now because I talked to them recently, and they were like, you're perfectly fine. You've been through abuse. And I was like, oh, you're kidding me. I told you from the jump I was normal. And, I can laugh at it now, but before I cried because I was telling the truth since day one about what they did. The technology abuse, the provoke, the gaslight, the IT abuse, IT hacking, router hacking, playing with phones, playing with applications, doing all psychotic BS, and they had been doing this for years. So I got to be a pawn of their narc foolery, and it ended up costing me my career. It cost me a lot. And when I tell you about self-love, you got to love yourself enough to have boundaries here. You got to self-love yourself enough to say, I'm walking away. I don't care how much I love you, but I'm walking away. Because you can't possibly love somebody and damage them. Because I'll read this out, and I thought this was interesting. Love is not unkind. I want you guys to hear this. Because this is one of the most important things that you all understand, even in a marriage and a relationship and the abundance of love part. The abundance of love is that nobody should ever unlove you or conditionally love you as long as you're doing something that makes them happy but makes you miserable. So I want you guys to hear this because I thought about it. I was like, did I ever love myself enough? Did I love myself enough to just put these boundaries earlier? And I couldn't have. I couldn't have loved myself in such a sense of the word that I didn't notice. I didn't notice what they were doing. I didn't notice the abuse. I didn't notice because I normalized it. So when I tell you it was disheartening and it made me cry, it made me think to myself, what is wrong with me that I didn't notice this? But then when I talked to my doctors and we had this conversation and someone was like, there's nothing wrong with you. Psychopaths view any social interaction or relationship interaction as an exchange of feeding opportunity as a contest or test of wills in which there's only one winner, them. And then their motives are to manipulate and take ruthlessly without any remorse, and they have no care for you. So once I realized that part, and then I realized another thing, is that love is supposed to be kind. Love does not hurt. Love does not harm. Love does not make you feel bad about yourself. And love does not have you reacting and having to defend yourself in the manner that I had. I've called this man all kind of bad body, bad breath, this, that, and the other, and the third. I've called several people different names because it's reactive abuse syndrome from being abused so much and all the name calling that has been done to me, the verbal vitriol has been done to me. So when we think about self, the ultimate boost to your self-esteem and being fully healed and integrated into human life. So I was integrated to a level of narcissistic abuse, and the syndrome that I picked up was narcissistic fleas, meaning that I don't have narcissism. I have healthy narcissism, which is everybody has an id, ego, and things like that. We all have narcissism in it. But a healthy narcissist is something that you can date, sleep next to every day, be married to, and not even know it, but they interview well. So they're easy to make you look like you're nuttier than bat crap while you're sitting up there explaining this to other people because you cheerleaded and reps for them and you've been their biggest cheerleader, their biggest fan. So nobody believes you when you're like, beep, 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 you got me messed up, beep, 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 you did this, you big, this, that, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? So by the time it's all said and done, everybody questions your mental health, but they're not questioning the person that interviews well. So that would give you guys this new age ideology when it comes to narcissism, social levels of social media, provoke bullying, gaslighting. And I got a site called Cyberbullying, so check it out. And don'tdatehimorher.com. I built those sites because I wanted people to have them as a database for people so you can reference if you need to get information, but you're going to have to pay for it because these are information I know how to do it, skip trace and all this kind of stuff. So I built these things out a long time ago, and I branded these things out, but I haven't had a chance to be able to utilize them because of narcissistic foolery and provoke gaslight because I have exes that are, one, feds and agents, and then I have others that are police officers, and it has become a level of narcissistic foolery and provoke gaslight, and it damaged my businesses. So y'all have seen me do a rebrand, re-rollout, and it's been hard because they do all the provoke gaslight that you possibly can do. I was told don't be a witness, but you're abusing. So what is the point of you telling me not to be a witness while you're ruining my life, you're ruining my brands, my re-rollout? So this has become like a level of foreign and domestic level of provoke gaslight and insidious abuse. So when we think about this, I want to show you the practical steps to love yourself enough to have boundaries because you're darned if you do and darned if you don't. If you don't say something, nobody knows. So the historical trait of how it's a core foundation of spiritual teachings and spiritual awakening is part of it. So self-love is, like I said, the ultimate boost to your self-esteem and becoming fully healed and integrated as a human being after you've been either abused or you've gone through a bad marriage or bad separation, post-separation abuse, coercive control, economic abuse, financial coercive control, the things that I've survived. So when you come into my office, we talk about these things to be a confident person and to observe your traits that are good and your weaknesses that other people perceive as weaknesses or use against you. It's happened to me, so I want you guys to understand when we walk through these modules and these understandings that fundamentally all radical change begins from within, heart. So when you think about this, when you start to value yourself and you start to have boundaries and you value who you are, you value the powerful creator within that built the light within you, the light within your heart, within your body, your spirit, to create your own reality and deserving of love and respect from everybody, no matter if it's a narc or a sociopath, because there is no reason for somebody to disrespect or degrade or degrade your level of life, your quality of life, and how you live every day as a person and mistreat you the way that I've been mistreated and others have been mistreated. And you have to remember, a lot of people are like, well, you got to give respect to get it. Not if you're abusing and you think I should respect you after you abuse me. No, I don't have to respect you because you gave me nothing to respect. So when we think about this, self-love is the opposite of being selfish. It's a level of you cannot love another person unconditionally unless you love yourself first. So think about this, heart, I love me. When you go in the mirror and you say, I am going to love me today and every day, all day, you're saying, I love you so, heart. So when you think about this, you think about self-love is not about engaging destructive patterns of behavior. We pick those up because we're dealing with people who are destructive and things like that. We're turning a blind eye to our self-love. So when you think about this, if somebody would blindly, willfully sit there, blatantly turn a blind eye to you being abused, provoked, and gaslit, and you put boundaries and they continue to still make conditions, they do not love you. They have a blinder to how they're treating you. So when we think about this, it has nothing to do with arrogance or narcissism, everything to do with being fully whole and integrated individual. And we are all designed to be loved, not ostracized, isolated, provoked, gaslit, tormented, humiliated, and emotionally abused and psychological warfare exacted on us. So I want you guys to understand that psychological warfare and PTSD can happen from all that kind of stuff because it's trauma. Whether you believe it or not, we all go through grief and we all go through some level of trauma, PTSD, but if it's chronic and it's become patternistic. So I want you guys to understand that, and then on top of that, to understand it from a level and layer of what you should expect in a marriage, a relationship, dating, and dating violence with teenagers and dating violence with levels of adults, adolescents, and children. It's all about one and the same. The thing is, children are more resilient because they're younger and their brains haven't fully developed. But when you're talking about adults going through that, it's a whole different ballgame. So when you come sitting down with me, we talk about putting you together again, from wellness to health, life, and if it's with divorce and marital, that you'll understand that you have to exercise a fully love, whole, unconditionally love yourself with those conditions in place for yourself, but unconditionally love yourself and integrate that as an individual. And don't turn a blind eye to levels of conditional people who will put conditions on your life. As long as you go along to get along, they're happy. But when you don't, or you put boundaries or put your foot down, then you're the problem. So when you're able to exercise self-love, your life will become much easier. This is because you will not sabotage yourself, or you will not allow others to sabotage you, or you'll say, no, the buck stops here. No, you're not going to sabotage me. No, you're not going to provoke me. No, you're not going to gaslight me. No, you're not going to seriously technology abuse. No, you're not going to threaten me. No, you're not going to ruin my life. No, you're not going to keep on altering my quality of life. So do you understand the art of no? When we talk about the art of yes, yesterday was because of manifestation and the growth model. But you will become more stable in your life, and you will no longer depend on others for fulfillment, or what we call codependency. So your emotions and reactions will not be volatile. They will actually become detached, but not uncaring. There's a difference between an uncaring narcissistic sociopath or pathological abuser. They don't care. They care about how the narrative looks for them, while they skew the validity of your claims and the brutality of what they're keeping up to reduce your quality of life. So understand with me as we walk through this in life, wellness, health, and mental health, emotional health. And when you're seeing a psychologist at my facility, and you're sitting up there with a licensed MSW, LSW, or somebody else, while I'm still doing the gap until I become an MD, forensic psychiatrist, and psychologist, and be able to diagnose you, although I'm able to do it, I just can't legally do it on paperwork. So now you understand why I'll have a team effort to make sure that you guys are okay. So when you go to IMCC Coaching, Diva Coaching, Team World Online, Talk Radio Online, and we sit there and have this conversation kind of like Frazier, and we're talking until I become an MD, we'll be able to get you into the office and you'll understand that I don't diagnose you, but I'll help you with the interim gap. So while my doctors are on staff and I'm going under apprenticeship with them, that you'll understand that I will be still doing interim gap, but I will not diagnose you. Although I can eyeball it and tell you right then and there, hey, you got this going on, but, I'm not going to tell you, but I'll talk to the doctors, and we'll sit down on the team effort to go and help you with your life, your wellness, your health, and getting the pertinent pieces that are important for you to get back to normal, because it took me a long time to get back to normal. I want you to understand that stability in your life is first and foremost, and your quality of life is first and foremost. Because if you don't feel like you're worthy, you're not going to love yourself. And I will tell you, at one point in time, I had imposter syndrome. and understand what imposter syndrome is. Let's do the little homework. Let's get the little advice and let's do our homework about imposter syndrome and what it makes you feel like. Imposter syndrome will have you around here thinking that you're not worthy of love or acceptance. And then when you think to yourself, and I am going to support my spiritual growth by living each day in joy, happiness, and feeling worthy. Okay? So that's our affirmation for today. I want you guys to understand this. When people feel like they're not good enough or they're unworthy, and let's go give you the technical definition. I want you guys to understand what it is. Imposter syndrome is a level of where you go from reality and what I think other people know versus what other people think. So evaluating what somebody else thinks in the manner of what I know about myself versus what other people know, the bigger part of the circle is what you think other people think of you. So therefore, it goes to a level of imposter syndrome. So you go from what other people know, and what I know, what other people know, reality, and what other people know, and that vicious cycle of that. So it skews your validity of your reality. So you become codependent on acceptance from others. So I want you guys to understand that. And then from the sense of when people say, I've got imposter syndrome, it's loosely defined as doubting your abilities or feeling like a fraud. It disproportionately affects high-achieving people who find it difficult to accept their accomplishment or their ability or the effective way of being independent, not codependent. So who find it difficult to accept their accomplishment. Many question whether they're deserving of accolades or support or love. So self-love is part of that. But when narcissistic people groom you to accept their narcissism, their sociopathy, their pathological, insidious, passive-aggressiveness, their overt, covert manner of training you to accept that, you begin to lose the self-love you already have for yourself that you've all grown up. Tell yourself, I am somebody. So when you think about this, it depends. You don't no longer depend on somebody for fulfillment and others for fulfillment. You begin to self-love yourself. So you don't need somebody to tell you, oh, you're the greatest person in the world. Oh, you're a great coach. You're a great mother. You're a great wife. You're a great girlfriend. I don't need anybody to tell me that. I know I am. So that's part of self-confidence. So when we think about this, you detach, but you detach from other people's opinions or their conditional love or their conditional acceptance or accolades. So, but it's from a lot of stuff that goes on in the world. So we all go through a level of imposter syndrome at some point in time, but some of us get stuck in the inertia, suspended in the air of dealing with imposter syndrome. So love is the ultimate building block for our entire universe. Humans are born in arms of loving parents, most of us, right? And die with their loved ones around them, ideally, right? But the thing is, they live and die but a lot of us live and die alone if we don't have people who love us. So the thing is, you have to be okay dying alone if you love yourself, because you know the greatest love is God's love. The greatest love is illuminated love. The greatest love is ascended master love. The greatest love is your own mastery of self-love. So in the world of Buddha and things like that, this is a saying by Buddha. In the end, only three things matter: how much you love, how gently you live, how gracefully you let go of things that are not meant for you. That includes people, places, and things. It includes organizations or anything else that does not give or express love. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I mean by organization means anything that you're attached to. It could be work, non-work. It could be work at home. It could be anybody that is organizationally causing levels of disorganization or dysfunctional or environmental terrorism, domestic terrorism, emotional levels of reducing your love for self and accepting their insidious abusiveness, divisiveness, or coercive control, or economic abuse, or fundamental keeping you from loving yourself. So your ability to love yourself and others is all about what matters, and how there is another matters entirely. For this, you have to find out who you love and who loves you unconditionally. So understand that. So I want you guys to understand this from that standpoint, and then I want you guys to understand it from the part that love does not hurt. Love is kind. And I want you guys to hear from the saying about that. Give me just one moment. I'll pull it for you guys. And I thought it was interesting. Here we go. And love should not be so blind that you love somebody more than you love yourself. Here it is. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not. That is 1 Corinthians 13:4, verse 8. And that is in the King James Version and the Old Testament and New Testament. So when we think about this in Corinthians 13:1, it does not envy, it does not keep records of wrongs. And love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. So think about this. Love is patient, love is kind. It is not envy, it is not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it does not keep records, and it is not keeping records of any wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. So in that, it's a gateway for heart self-love. So when we think about this, if love dishonors you, that's not love. If love causes you anger, that is not love. If love is unkind, that is not love. So the same thing goes for family. It goes for relationships. It goes for any type of relationship you have, acquaintances, business, and personal. It does not mean that you go to a level of creating non-love for yourself. So if somebody does not love you the right way, tell yourself, I love you enough to walk away. I can unconditionally love myself enough to walk away, because if somebody loves me, they will build me up to have me feeling myself, not in my feelings. So when we go into the next module of finding the self, we're going to be able to talk about this, and we'll talk about this in the next live and everything else. I wanted to make these shorter and shorter, but I wanted you guys to understand that when we talk about how love is and what it is supposed to be, you think about the patience, you think about the kind, you think about non-envy, you think about it's not proud, it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it's not keeping records of wrong or what you did. It is not a level of delighting in evil and harm and hurt. It is not in rejoicing and non-truth. It's rejoicing in the truth, and sometimes taking accountability for the non-love that you've done to someone else. Then you think about it always protects, it trusts, it hopes, it preserves, and love never fails. So understand what that means. If love never fails, and it provides hope, it provides and perseveres, and it also provides trust, and it provides a level of protection, then if I'm not being protected, if I'm being provoked, if I'm being gaslit, if my business are being affected by unjoyful, insidious, abusive, pathological, patternistic, abusive behavior, that is not love. That is hate. That's envy. That's lust. That's greed. That is sloth. That is the 7 deadly sins, the cardinal sin. So when we talk about these different things and finding the self, we'll talk about self-love, heart, and what that means. It means that there's a level and layer of love that we all have to find within ourselves. That is a journey within ourselves, and I am. The monad of I am, the presence of Christos, the illuminated one, and so on. So when we talk about this, we'll talk about this tomorrow, and I am abundance, love, heart, illuminated, unified, abundance, advanced mindset, and from a scarcity mindset of scarcity of love to a abundance of self-love. So I'm going to take you guys into another level and layer to this, and we'll save this finding the self for tomorrow. I want you guys to get these modules and be able to do the 33 IMCC 833 for my appointment, 833 book me too. Those are for Team World. Don Diva Coaching at 833 for my appointment, 833 book me too for Team World online, and 833 IMCC for IMCC Coaching at IMCC.com. You may go to the website IMCCcoaching.com, DonDivaCoaching.com, TeamWorld.online, and IMCC.com for your specialty appointments, and cash apps for the webinars at $IMCC Coaching, $Don Diva Coaching, $Team World Online, Talk Radio Diva for the radio station, and be able to go tune in live every day, at least Monday through Friday, some Saturdays and Sundays, and be able to go and get these coachings. And these are free and things like that. But to keep our doors open, I would like for you guys to donate in kind, and you may do that at $IMCC Coaching, Don Diva Coaching, Team World Online, Talk Radio Diva to keep the station open and going. And then on top of that, I would like for you guys to make sure that you're always doing something in kind, and for our charitable contributions and things like that we're going to be doing to serve the community near and large in Pensacola, Atlanta, and across the United States as I grow. So that's what the endeavors are for. And you can go to talkradiodiva.com, and you'll be able to do that for a month, or you can do it for one time, or you can do it monthly donations every month. And, CC as your life coach, wellness coach, health coach, divorce coach, and your business brander and consultant for small to mid-level to big business and executive teachings and small business trainings. I want you guys to understand what that's all about. So let's go into an affirmation for today. I want you guys to understand that you got to affirm self-love. And part of that is growth and implementation. Here's a good one. For self-love, say this to yourself every day. I am going to believe in me. I am going to acknowledge my own self-worth. I am going to have confidence, and I am soaring in my self-confidence in myself. I am not my mistakes. I am going to accept myself unconditionally. I am going to self-love myself. I am proud of myself and all that I have accomplished. I am successful. I am a beautiful person inside and out. I am enough. I believe in the person I am. I am going to believe in my dreams of becoming who I am. I believe in choosing to be happy. I am completely in love with myself today. I am choosing faith over fear. I am going to fear not. I am going to follow the light. I am creating my life exactly as I want it. I am positive in my choice. I am choosing to be positive. I am positive vibes. And then I want you guys to understand healing yourself of shame. When we think about shame and we think about how people shame us for feeling how we feel about ourselves and healing our emotional self, part of that is learning what's important. Our parents are our mirrors. And the 7 types of negative parental mirrors can affect us how we are. And then on top of that, outside of that, in how we work and how we operate. So rejecting what our mirror of our parents and how they raised us and learning how to self-love ourselves as an adult is part of that. And looking deeper into the mirror of ourselves and reflecting the self of self-love, I am. A self is a mystical concept that is surrounded around ancient time. So in that, described in many names of the soul, the oversoul, the adamant, of the monad of I am present. So when you look at yourself and say, I am going to love me. And I want you guys to understand this in self-esteem. So we're going to talk about that in our next modules of that. And part of self-awareness and self-esteem is part of that too. Here we go. I want you guys to understand that you can have self-esteem for yourself. We're going to put a self-esteem journal up. We're going to also put up a level of self-confidence journals and being able to do all that and understanding self-esteem. Part of understanding self-esteem and self-efficacy is that your self-awareness and self-esteem is a reflection of the way you see yourself and how you value yourself in different qualities. Each of us has positive and negative qualities. But people with low self-esteem or self-love tend to focus on the negative rather than ones that are positive. So I want you guys to understand to list your character traits that make you feel self-positive, and then on top of the negative traits that you have, and work on losing those traits. Then I want you to list the things that are good at that you don't do well and start looking at how to improve the things that you don't do well versus the things that you do well, and expound on the things that you do well and ask for help for the things that you don't do well and ask for people to help you mold yourself. Have a mentor. And on top of that, I want you to build your self-esteem in the sense of how do I think of myself. In this, I want you to find that your self-concept is about your perception of yourself, who you are. Your self-esteem is measured how happy you are with yourself, and self-love. By increasing love and increasing one of these, you can increase the other. So today we'll look at building our self-esteem and self-love. So give yourself self-esteem and a boost and think highly of yourself. So in that, do something that frightens you, show off your strength, do something for others, eat a healthier habit of lifestyle of drinking water, hydrating, eating a better meal, doing something that guarantees success by starting small. Then think to yourself, fill your mind with uplifting information. Observe your thoughts. Observe your vocabulary. Create a list of affirmations. Remember your greatness. Learn something new. Exercise. And then introduce yourself to someone new. And then on top of that, think about when you think more highly of yourself and you put yourself in a better position of self-love from others. So when I tell you guys all of this type of stuff, I want you guys to understand why I went over all this. Because tomorrow when we go over finding the self, part of this is going to be part of that module. I want you guys to understand that you can't get anywhere from feeling bad about yourself or not having a level of feeling like I can do this and self-confidence. So that's why I went over imposter syndrome today, so we can move from that. So tomorrow, when we go through these modules, you'll be able to understand it for finding the self and be able to get more connected in that. So when you read and see this, start today or tomorrow, you'll be able to go in there and truly describe yourself and walk with me and walk in your own shoes of what you're going through personal, so we can work on a level of heart love and abundance of love. So with that being said, let me pull up an affirmation for you. And then we're going to leave. By the way, you guys can call the actual station, and you will be able to call at 515-602-9765 and make sure that you guys actually call in early enough, and I'll have you wait on the line, and I'll take calls from there. This is something good. I like to make sure that I have everything that works out well for this tutorial set. Here we go. Now this is perfect. So I love this one. Distancing yourself from negativity and those that don't love you. And I choose improvement over perfection. This one is a good one. When we think about ourselves in self-confidence and self-love, we think about choosing improvement over perfection. If you learn how to perfect the art of self-love, you begin to go and understand what this means. I choose improvement over perfection. I want to make today better than yesterday. I do this in each part of my life. I am constantly making effort to enhance my finances, my relationship, my health, and build my skills to a higher level. I know that if I improve by a little bit each day, I myself can find self-love. My life eventually becomes much better. What do I think about perfection? Perfection is a mistake, but self-love is not. Perfection is a myth. Self-love is not. It is a toxic poison of improvement and daily self-love. It is unrealistic goals that impede my progress. When I worry about something perfectly, I am afraid to try. So I am not afraid to try to self-love myself and begin to form a habit of self-love. I am a perfect imperfection. I can do more to enhance my life by chasing improvement, by chasing a level of self-love and perfecting the art of self-love versus perfection. Improvement is believable and achievable. Self-love is believable and achievable. I am fine with small improvements each day. These small enhancements really add up over a long time and become a habit. Small improvements are like compound interest. It gains value over time. They're incredibly powerful. Improvement gives me a sense of accomplishment and allows self-confidence to grow and self-love to grow. Today, I strive to improve in every aspect of my life. I know that I can be a better friend, a better wife, a better girlfriend, and make wiser financial decisions, strengthen my skills or my relationship, and make healthier choices in those I let in my life to create abundance and love from a scarcity mindset to a abundance mindset. So in that, I choose improvement and reject perfection. I am a perfect imperfection. I choose improvement. I choose improvement over imperfection or a level of perfection. I choose a level of going from imperfection to perfecting the art of self-love. So think about that. So I will ask some self-reflection questions. You're welcome to call the studio at 515-602-9765, and you are more than welcome to answer these questions. What are the most important areas of my life for me to experience improvement? How do I feel that I'm not perfect? When I have allowed the desire for perfection to get in my way, how do I go from perfection to self-love and self-improvement? What should I look for in life in my pursuit of happiness and a level of imperfection and being a perfect imperfection and be able to be twice as good in every area of my life? What if it took a year to accomplish that? Would it be worth it? So in that, I want you guys to ask yourself this. If you shed the illusion of being perfect, how would you feel? If you shed the illusion of peeling back perfection and begin to look at your behavior, social, and attitudes, and begin to that were downloaded at birth and your life and what you were programmed with, how are you going to go in a year's time? And would you feel good in a year of change, a year of abundance, a year of practice, a year of habit change, and becoming more resourceful in your self-love? Those are the questions that we need to think about. Ponder that. So with that being said, I'm going to close out this session. I enjoyed every last one of you, hearts, my babies, children, adolescents, young adults. I'm going to remind you guys that dating violence is not okay, marital violence is not okay, and then on top of that, even if you're in a professional standpoint, workplace violence is not okay, pathological abuse is not okay, narcissism is not okay. It's okay to have healthy narcissism, but to be unhealthy with it, to be unhealthy towards others or doing things that are dysfunctional in your life and how you conduct your life and how you are as a character, as a person in your life is not okay. So when you call 833-INCC, 833 for my appointments on Diva Coaching, or 833 book me too for Teen World Online for children, adolescents, young adults, or Teen World Onliners, then you can go to IMCC Coaching, DonDivaCoaching.com, Teen World Online, and IMCC.com for your specialty appointments. Book your appointment. And those of you who want to provide for the webinars and things like that, $ IMCC Coaching, $ Don Diva Coaching, $ Teen World Online, $ Talk Radio Diva, or you can go to TalkRadioDiva.com and do a donation and put it towards what business that you want to help for our expansion and business growth. I appreciate all of y'all. This is Cece, your life coach, your wellness coach, your health coach, your divorce coach, your business coach, and your mentor, signing off for today. I wanted to thank you guys all for everything that you guys do and those that have been helping me with my brand. Thank you and good night. Take care.